Ladies and gentlemen, the Politicsx program brought to you as always by everybody who supports us at TakePoliticsSeriously.com. You want an extra podcast? Oh, guess what? You're going to get one for free this week. I got an interview with Andrea Seabrook of Countable. It's going to be in the feed tomorrow. But if you want one on Friday, then you want another one next Monday? Man, we're talking about 4 podcasts in a week. We're talking about damn near a daily podcast for this week and the next, because we had another interview lined up for that too. Well, there's only one way. Only one way you can get it. Head on over to TakePoliticsSeriously.com. That is where you can find our Patreon. And on that Patreon, if you subscribe to the $3 a week level, you get those extra mini podcasts on Mondays and Fridays. About anywhere between 20 minutes and a half hour, keeping you up to date on everything that is happening from the perspective that you have come to know and trust. Me, Justin Robert Young. Also, I have a new comedy album out. Me and my buddy Brian Brushwood, we do the Night Attack podcast. It is available right now. All's Well, a Night Attack album. Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal. Yeah, baby. It's there for you, friends. Head on over there. All's Well, a Night Attack album. Currently the #1 album on Amazon. Currently a top 5 album on iTunes. Not in comedy. In all of iTunes. Huh. Never talking about how we support the show. What do you say? We just do the damn thing. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another edition of the Politicsx program. My name is Justin Robert Young. I'm going to be a little angry today. I don't know. Well, I don't know. Angry is probably the wrong word. I'm just going to let you know that we're surrounded with stories I don't like. We're surrounded with stories that I'm not a fan of. I don't like these stories. In fact, I'm just going to let you know that the pole dance today is an insanely too early look at the 2020 Democratic primary, and it's the only thing that makes me happy on the show. Nothing else we are going to talk about makes me happy. I don't know, maybe Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez calling into a Twitch stream. I like that. And I like Kamala Harris announcing because it brings us closer to 2020. But other than that, we're going to be talking about a lot of stories that I don't like. We're going to be talking about the Supreme Court upholding the trans military ban. It just, I don't know. I ain't no lawyer. I don't know. I'm not a soothsayer. I'm not going to figure out exactly how this shit goes. I don't know. I don't know how it works, but we're going to talk about it. And oh my God, we're going to get into this story. It is my least favorite story. In fact, if I were to catalog all my least favorite stories in the last few years, I would have only one that would be at the #1 spot, the #1, top of the list. This fucking Covington Catholic story. I hate it. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and get into this. The shutdown is evolving. Folks, we are way past the expiration date. If the shutdown were Mr. Meeseeks from Rick and Morty, we would realize that Mr. Meeseeks is not allowed to live this long. I'm Mr. Meeseeks, look at me. The end of that episode, they all want to die. Who's got a fever for the flavor of the sweet release of death? This shutdown does. Existence is pain for this shutdown. And yet here we are at loggerheads. Both sides have an assurance in their bones that they are right. That if they extend this out on a long enough timeline, that they will be proven correct. You have on one side Donald Trump, a man without the same kind of party affiliation that has been a standard for all previous presidents. This man is a newcomer to the Republican Party, and if I might remind everybody, in 2016, the vast majority of the rank and file of that party wanted him to not be the nominee. He doesn't care about them. He doesn't care about future Republicans. He cares about him. And by the way, that's pretty much what he promised. He said, look, put me in, and then you can not have me as president after that. I'm just going to do all the things that you need to do, and then I'm going to leave. That was how he pitched himself to voters. So where every other president, if they have let down their constituency by not doing what they said they were going to do, Donald Trump is saying, look, I don't give a fuck about my reputation. I don't give a damn about my bad reputation. And then you got on the other side the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, the leader of the Senate and the leader of the House for the Democrats. They look at Donald Trump and they say, homie, I know gravity. Hey, can someone go ahead and dial up my friend Ike? Go ahead and call up Ike Newton. Go ahead and ask him what happens when gravity takes hold. Because I'm looking at your polls, Donald, and all I do is see a stinking stone. And so, considering we are now entering into uncharted federal shutdown territory, either seem to be very interested in compromising with each other. The Democrats look at their base and they say, oh shit, we're going to get crucified if we do anything. And we think that Donald Trump's eventually going to crack. So we're just going to ride this out. We don't need to make a deal. Wall is immoral. End of sentence. We're not going to look for things that we can get out of it. We're not going to even offer things that we can trade for it. If it's a wall, fuck no. Donald Trump says no wall, no deal. Or no, what's his new catchphrase? Donald's got a new catchphrase. Build a wall and crime will fall. That's Donald Trump's new catchphrase according to his Twitter today. Catchy. Man, it just rolls off the tongue. Build a wall, ampersand, crime will fall. You got a wall before you ball. I don't know. Maybe he does have it going on. There's a slight glimmer of hope on the horizon. There's a slight glimmer of hope on the horizon. And that is the fact that there are now, at the very least, one, if not two, spending bills that will be voted on in the Senate tomorrow. Be voted on in the Senate on Thursday. The first is the Republican plan. This one includes the $5.7 billion. I don't believe that Mitch McConnell would be calling this vote if he didn't think he had the votes. But yet we're here. If this passes, then it would put the onus, theoretically, politically, on the House. You have a chance to vote to end the shutdown. Do you do it or do you not? But should that bill in the Senate not get enough traction, not get enough votes, then immediately the Democratic bill comes up. That is a spending bill that was already passed by the House, that if sent to the president, he would now have to decide to veto. So it would be on the president to do it. Now, Jester Woot says the onus was already put on the Senate several times. Yes, and I'm not saying that's not true. This would be the first time that one part of this body politic would have an opportunity to kind of end it right there. War is over if you choose. We have not yet had an opportunity to say, all right, the House passed this, the Senate passed this, the president, what do you say? Do you say veto or do you sign the bill? Alternatively, we have never had a bill that is blessed by the president, voted on by the Senate, and now sits in the House. I suspect that in this unbecoming rock fight we are watching, each side believes if they can make the other one say no publicly to ending the shutdown, it will help the opposite side's cause. So, that is where we are right now. Oh, and then there's the personal back and forth with Pelosi and Trump. Remember, it was but a week ago that we were in the halcyon days of civility and functioning government when Nancy Pelosi said, Mr. President, if you don't end the shutdown, then you should move the State of the Union. I added that editorially. And then Donald Trump said in return, oh, really? Well, let me wait 24 hours until you're on the way to the airport so I can cancel your trip to Afghanistan. That's what Donald Trump also said in return. That's what happens anytime that there is a petty move made by one or two of the parties, effectively to keep them in the news, so they can hope that their poll numbers drop further and they are driven to the bargaining table. And so now here's the latest. Nancy Pelosi has sent a letter effectively canceling the State of the Union. This has now driven another tempest in a teapot. Well, effectively, Pelosi has denied Trump the use of the House chamber for the State of the Union. That's where we're at. If we're going to be accurate, this is the most accurate. This is from Kevin Liptak of CNN. He writes, President Donald Trump declared his annual State of the Union address canceled on Wednesday after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi sent word that she would bar him from delivering the speech in the House chamber while parts of the government remained shut down. The back and forth escalated one of the rancorous subplots and extended the standoff over border security that has shuttered several government agencies and forced hundreds of thousands of federal workers to go unpaid. Even as the two leaders sent each other letters dripping with barely veiled disgust, they did not plan to meet face-to-face and haven't spoken directly for weeks. Quote, Donald Trump, the State of the Union speech has been canceled by Nancy Pelosi because she doesn't want to hear the truth. She doesn't want the American people to hear what's going on, and she's afraid of the truth, Trump said from the cabinet room after Pelosi made her intentions known in a letter. Trump bemoaned the decision, calling it a great blotch on the incredible country we love. It's a great, great, horrible mark, which is how I would describe most of r/squared circle. I mean, I hate it. I hate this story. I hate the shutdown. It's just, they're at loggerheads. Just move. Somebody move. Do a thing. Donald Trump said last weekend made a gesture. He effectively put out on the table that he would approve. This is part of the thing that they're going to vote on in the Senate tomorrow. That he would approve a 3-year extension for DACA, the Dreamers, in exchange for the $5.7 billion for the wall. Which, by the way, that's not the wall. It's barely a down payment. Now, you can say that you don't think that that's a good deal. You can say that you hate that deal. It was a very public statement in what has been a war of silence. And look, I get it. There's a lot of you listening right now that either on one side or the other are like, no deal, no surrender. You will lose. The other side will lose. You are immoral. You are wrong. And I am okay. Look, you're right. You're allowed to do that. I'm just letting you know. This is what it is. It's not like the Democrats have come back and said, hey, here's what we do want for the wall money. They've said, no, if there's wall money in there, we don't want shit. We don't want shit to do with it. No. I don't want to do this Covington Catholic story, you guys. I don't want to go from being angry to being angry. I don't want to go because it bothers me so much. It annoys me so much. I've hated this story. I'm just going to shrink slowly. I'm going to shrink slowly into the frame here. I'm going to shrink slowly. I'm now almost laying with my head on the back of the chair. I can barely be seen by our audience on twitch.tv/JustinRYoung. I just hate the fucking story. I fucking hate the story. I just don't like it. I'm going to talk about Kamala Harris first. Okay. All right. I'm being raised from the dead. I'm being raised from the dead. I'm being raised from the dead. Here we go. Kamala Harris. We're going to do Kamala Harris first. Kamala Harris is officially announced. She has announced that she is running for president of the United States. She is a junior senator from California, a former prosecutor in San Francisco. She is a black woman. She is a great telegenic presence. She is making a big formal announcement in Oakland in a couple days. So here's my question. Is Kamala Harris viable? Is Kamala Harris somebody that we believe, as the politics community, do we believe that she is a player? Player. I don't know exactly how viable she is to win the presidency, but I do believe that she will have an effect on this election. The more I watch of Kamala Harris, the more I think that she is self-assured and confident. And again, I will repeat, telegenic. She is somebody that I believe portrays an element of authenticity that will resonate with the base she needs it to resonate with. The problem with Kamala Harris is that she spent her days as a prosecutor, meaning that she's going to have to eat a lot of shit for things that she prosecuted. She didn't just support positions that put people in jail. She put people in jail. That was her job. Now, here's what I did like about her announcement. She's on Good Morning America with George Stephanopoulos, and George Stephanopoulos asks her, hey, you want to be president of the United States? What qualifies you to do it? And she just said, I love my country, and then spun right into, we are a strong country of laws. She is going to run as a law and order Democrat who is also a black woman. That's interesting. That's an interesting lane. It's an interesting lane to work with. Now, here's what I also like. She's going to come to Oakland. She's going to do a thing in Oakland. If she does not, if this goes well, if her, let me just let you know a little something about Oakland. All right. Let me go ahead and let you know a little something about Oakland. Oakland don't take shit. Oakland demonstrates and protests on a national level. If there is some shit going on in your neighborhood, in America, if not the world, there is a fair chance that Oakland will protest about it. There will be a march in Oakland for some shit that's happening in your neighborhood. And then, God forbid, when some shit happens out here, which happens all the time. I'm saying all this to say that there's a fair chance that a story will emerge from Kamala Harris's little event that there was pushback, that there were protests for Kamala Harris. And my curiosity is how she handles it and if she anticipates it. I assume she will. I assume that she understands this city. But we will see. I'm going to go ahead and compare these two. I think Kamala Harris's rollout has been pretty good. There's an old adage that you can really tell the value of a coach, and this is more so in basketball. You can tell a good basketball coach by how well the plays are executed coming out of a timeout. Because when you're coming out of a timeout, you can set it up. You can put your entire personnel that you want on the floor. You're running set plays that you've ran in practice 1,000,000 times. Hopefully you have drilled your players to know exactly what they need to do. I think that Kamala Harris, when you were launching a presidential campaign, you got all the time in the world to think about it. You got all the time in the world to make sure that you're going to the right place to announce. And so far, if you compare Kamala Harris's rollout to, let's say, Elizabeth Warren's, I think Elizabeth Warren's rollout has been not good. She had the DNA thing. She had the live stream where she was drinking a beer, thanking her husband for appearing in her kitchen. I don't think that came off. That didn't show the best of Elizabeth Warren. It didn't demonstrate the fact that she is a warrior who is going to overtake she's going to reform the capitalist system that has created tremendous wealth inequality. Didn't do that. The first one was a weird jab at Donald Trump that ultimately came off as tone deaf. And the second was a Mrs. Me Too situation with all the young kids. If all the kids are playing Fortnite, then I'm going to announce my presidency while I'm doing the floss dance. All right. All right. Oh, I'm sinking again. I'm just looking at my rundown. Why don't I want to talk about this Covington Catholic story? Let me list the ways. Number one, I don't know if we're going to have to cover every fight that happens in front of the Lincoln Memorial. But if we do, it will be exhausting. Specifically, if throughout that fight we need to identify a member of the skirmish that we are pinning all of our hopes and dreams, and a member of the skirmish that we are determining is the incarnation of all evil. I hate this story because it doesn't seem to me that it's necessarily headline news to say that Catholic private school kids can be shitheads or are shitheads. I'm going to go ahead out on a limb and say that Catholic school private kids or Catholic private school kids are all shitheads. I'm gonna paint them with a broad brush right now. I'm going to say yes, all Catholic private school kids are shitheads. I hate it because now we have to apparently understand that this Indian dude with the drum is so pure of heart, when the fact is I kind of think like he's a bit of a glory hog and gives off the whiff of fraud. In fact, really the only thing I don't hate about this story, really the only thing that I don't hate about this story is the black Israelites. In fact, I am blown away. I am blown away that most people don't know who the black Israelites are. Have you never been to Times Square? They're the best part. If you don't know who the black Israelites are, they're basically a militant black version of the Westboro Baptist Church. They believe, it is of their belief, that they are the true children of God because Israel, according to them, is on the same plate tectonic plate as Africa. And everybody else is much like the Westboro Baptist Church. Everybody that does not subscribe to their very specific, narrow way of understanding religion is subject to any kind of punishment that the Lord, our God, would lay down upon them. The video that I saw initially was the black Israelites screaming at the Native American protesters, at Nathan Phillips, saying, you guys worshipped dogs, you worshipped cats, you worshipped trees, you forsake the Lord, and that is why the white man took your land. And then they started yelling at the Covington Catholic kids, and they said that they were incest babies. They said that the black student among them, that he would have his organs harvested. They called them all sorts of slurs. They are the black Israelites. If you don't know, now you know. But ultimately, what I see in that video are a bunch of very excited. And again, I'm going to let you know that I am biased in understanding who these kids are. I am not going to understand them as humans. I'm going to understand them as me, a public high school graduate, how I understood Catholic school kids growing up. That they're kind of arrogant, pious shitheads. That's just me. That's a me thing. So let's assume that they were doing their cheers and they were trying to show up the black Israelites. They were trying to drown out whatever. And the next thing you know, the Indigenous Peoples March, which was happening that day, although according to where they were stated that they were going to march, it was not by the Lincoln Memorial. So I guess they had wrapped up their march and then they were making their way out to the Lincoln Memorial. And they decided they were going to confront the kids. And it is at this point, right now, this point in the story, that I stop giving a fuck. Because the initial reason why I gave a fuck about this story was under the pretense that there was a kindly Indian man banging a drum, and then a bunch of ruffians in MAGA hats surrounded him and started yelling and chanting. That's what I was sold. That's what I saw on Twitter. That's what I understood. So if I then see further context, and it is indeed even a sliver more complicated, well, then I've stopped caring. Because guess what? It is now elevated from very clear good guy, bad guy parable about awful bullies to a more complicated version of a fight in front of the Lincoln Monument. So, from that point, we then get into the next level. So, all right, the media attacked these kids. This is the media gone wild. I said before that I think that all Catholic private school kids are kind of pious shitheads. I will say that I do not believe that these pious shitheads should be doxxed. They should not be expelled. They should not be threatened with physical violence. All right. Are we clear? Cool. But then there's more. More videos of the MAGA kids yelling at women on the street. Another one of the MAGA kids saying that it's not rape if she likes it. If that's what you would like to point out, then dare I say, I've already pointed out that I believe that most Catholic private school kids are indeed pious shitheads. Please refer to Figure A. I really am baffled by why this has become the hill that everybody wants to die on. Because I don't see a lot of clear winners and losers here. I don't see a lot of clear good guys and bad guys. I see a lot of complicated, stupid stuff. And I really just don't know what is attracting. I guess, is it because everybody got so committed on that first day? Is it because everybody locked themselves into their opinion so hard when they saw that first picture, when they saw that first video? I don't know. And if your point is, look, if you're out there wearing a MAGA hat, then you are asking for it. Well, it seems a little bit like, if you're wearing that, then you're asking for it. But I can understand your opinion if that's your take. So, cool. I don't know where you go with that conversation. You should just mark yourself, hey, look, I think anybody wearing a MAGA hat is the exact same as wearing a Klan hood. Okay. That's your opinion. It's not mine, but I get it. I understand it. I can process it. Doesn't seem like there's very far to go with it. I don't know where else we go with that. But fine. I just don't know. Shouldn't you be done? It reminded me of one time I met a few people. I'm an atheist. And I met a few people and they're like, oh, you should come to this atheist convention. And I'm like, well, what the fuck are we going to talk about? Like, there's no God? What's the next? Oxygen conventions? And now the chat's all riled up. Again, I just... if somebody can explain to me why I should care about this story, then please hit me up. TheYoungAmerican@gmail.com. Again, TheYoungAmerican@gmail.com. Hey, by the way, you can go ahead and get my free political newsletter at freepoliticalnewsletter.com. If you want what I do 5 days a week, then go ahead and check it out. freepoliticalnewsletter.com. 5 stories a day, 5 days a week, mostly gifts, some hot takes. The Supreme Court has upheld the trans military ban. We read now from a CNN article about the subject. The Supreme Court allowed President Donald Trump's transgender military ban to go into effect Tuesday, dealing a blow to LGBT activists who called the ban cruel and irrational. In an unsigned 5-4 order, the justice took no stance on the legality of the ban, first proposed in a surprise tweet by Trump in 2017. But Tuesday's action clears the way for it to take effect while lower courts hear additional arguments. The 4 liberal justices objected to allowing the administration's policy banning most transgender people from serving in the military to go into effect. The policy, first announced by the president on July 2017 via Twitter and later officially released by then Secretary of Defense Mattis, blocks individuals who have been diagnosed with a condition known as gender dysmorphia from serving with limited exceptions. It also specifies that individuals without the condition can serve, but only if they do so according to the sex they were assigned with at birth. In a statement released after the Supreme Court action, the Pentagon sought to clarify that its policy is not to ban on all transgender persons from the military. Quote, "As always, we treat all transgender persons with respect and dignity. The DoD's policy is not a ban on service by a transgender person. It is crucial that DoD be permitted to implement personnel policies that it determines are necessary to ensure the most lethal and combat-effective fighting force in the world. DoD's proposed policy is based on professional military judgment and will ensure that the U.S. Armed Forces remain the most lethal and combat-effective fighting force in the world," said Lieutenant Colonel Carla Gleason, a Pentagon spokesperson. It was reported that Secretary Mattis was not in favor of this. He believed that it dishonored the service and sacrifice of anybody who wanted to lay down their life for the United States of America. My limited understanding of this subject would agree with the Mad Dog. I don't know legally where it goes from here. If the Supreme Court took no legal stance or no stance on whether or not the policy was legal or not, then I assume that we are probably setting ourselves up for more court fights. This will continue to be an issue. In the meantime, though, I don't know. I don't like the idea of telling people that want to die for our country or are willing to die for our country that they can't. That's just me. Have I ate my veggies? Have I ate my veggies yet? Have I done everything that I've needed to do so I could just get to what I fucking want to do? Can I now just live the way that I want to live? Can I please just do what I want to do? Can I get that music? Can I just one time, can I get that music, please? Yes! Oh, good God, folks. This is a Politico morning consult poll. A snapshot of the 2020 Democratic primary. It is indeed a poll dance, 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 dance. Oh, yeah. Taken from January 18th to the 22nd. It has a registered voter sample of 694. Oh, it's a long one, too. Oh, we're back. We're back, baby. We're back to the polls we like. Stepping up first to the stage with 1% of the vote. It is Sheriff Stepping up second to the stage, all with 2% of the vote. Please welcome, in order, Kirsten Gillibrand, Julian Castro, and Michael Bloomberg. Moving on up, here is, with 4% of the vote, Cory Booker. Both with 6% of the vote, Elizabeth Warren and Beto O'Rourke. Oh, we need a reprise for our headliners. With 9% of the vote, Kamala Harris. Get on the floor if you got that booty. Your co-headliner with 16% of the vote, Bernie Sanders. But your headliner with a commanding 26% of the vote, he can't keep himself off the minds of the Democratic voters or his hands off people who are getting awards. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the front runner of the 2020 Democratic primary, Joe Oh, man. Joe Biden. And by the way, in all of the polls that have come in so far, his haul has been 30, 24, 45, and 26. That is a Real Clear Politics average of 31.3. Sanders has done well in 3 out of the 4 polls. His Real Clear Politics average is 12. O'Rourke and Harris, those are the ones to watch because Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren, they really want to be where O'Rourke and Harris are. O'Rourke is currently at 6.8. Harris is at 5.0. I mean, look, those are the kind of polling numbers that get O'Rourke that kind of buzz, at least inside D.C. circles. All right. What do you say we go ahead and get into your emails? You can email the show, theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Again, theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Jason writes, there's another possible end to the shutdown that you may have missed. Once the government shutdown reaches 30 days, federal law allows for the government to start permanently laying off furloughed employees. There's a possible scenario where after 30 days, a lot of furloughed employees could get pink slips. Trump then ends the shutdown without wall money, but can go back to his base, claiming a win on the campaign promise of draining the swamp, and they use Chuck and Nancy's refusal of 1 cent for the wall as a way to campaign for himself and the need to get more Republicans in Congress in 2020. Jason, I think that that's a good idea if Trump's base gave a fuck about fiscal responsibility. They don't. Kieran writes, I've got some advice for Chuck and Nancy to help with the shutdown. It's a simple plan with 3 steps. Number 1, announce on TV that you're willing to make a compromise and fund the wall. Talk about the lives of millions of Americans who need to get paid, yada, yada, yada. Number 2, write a bill with wall funding and everything else the Democrats want. I'm talking DACA, funding for Planned Parenthood, enough money to bring Obamacare back harder than Christ on the third day. Maybe even staple some gun laws on the back. Tell Donnie that if he supports this, he will get the wall and get his public endorsement. Number 3, get it through the House with your majority and let the Iron Turtle shut it down in the Senate. Suddenly you've got Donald lighting Mitch up on Twitter, gutting D.C. Republican support, and Donald 2020. My harebrained schemes aside, I don't know why the Dems aren't working harder to look like they're trying to find a compromise. I know what they're doing is popular with the base, but moderates must get frustrated when both sides can't do anything to a point. If it helps, I'm Anglo-Inno-Caribbean. I have said many times, I don't know why the Democrats aren't giving a buffet of poison pills for Donald Trump to swallow, because I think he is hot to do it. Swerve him. Right. Finally got around to listening to your discussion with Andrew Heaton about the shutdown. By the way, Andrew Heaton's going to be interviewed on this podcast next week. It'll go up independent in the feed early next week. Finally got around to listening to your discussion about the shutdown and commented on not being sure how to get budget bills passed. Why don't you do what the rest of the world does? If the government can't get a budget passed, then the government is dissolved. I know it is not the general system in the U.S. to have an ad hoc election, but if politicians were going to lose their seat and face the electorate if they couldn't pass a budget, then maybe they'd work a little harder to get a budget passed. Maybe swerve them. Joey writes, the Democrats and the media are going to give this election to Trump again. Trump got elected last time because the media wouldn't stop covering him, and the Democrats would only talk about how Trump is an asshole and not about why they were better. Today at work, we had the local news on, and I didn't catch the entire report, but they were saying that the Democratic candidates were having a rally where they were talking about whatever and also talked about Trump. Smash cut to Bernie calling Trump a flat-out racist. So even if the Dems had awesome talking points and whatever, the only thing that was shown was talking shit about Trump, that didn't win them the White House in 2016, so I don't know why they think it's going to work for them in 2020. If it helps, I'm a Republican, and I think Trump is an asshole. I would only quibble with you, Joey, in that I think Bernie is a popular candidate because he does offer different proposals. Now, you can debate on how well they would do for the country. You can debate on how smart they are. But at the end of the day, they are different. He's saying that capitalism is wrong and we need to fix it. That's different than what most people are saying. And finally, Mark writes, in light of the recent events, I think it would be great if Mr. Trump hosted a schoolboy summit, like that beer summit Obama had. He could invite the boys from Covington Catholic, Nathan Phillips, Chuck and Nancy, Brett Kavanaugh, Kanye West, Christine Blasey Ford, PJ, Squee, Tobin, Cory Booker, Amy Klobuchar, Cocaine Mitch, Paul Ryan, and Sassy the Horse. Trump could serve Little Caesars pizza and have kegs of Schlitz and Milwaukee's Best in the back. PJ and Squee could lead the group in a rousing game of Devil's Triangle, while Tobin gave lessons on boofing. Mitch could set up lines for Chuck and Nance, and Kanye could bring his new Make America Great Again hats for everyone. I think Trump could really use the attention for good, maybe even bring people together. This week started off unpleasant, but it could end in a dream. Oh, hi, Mark. You're my favorite emailer. Please email every episode. That was amazing. Folks, you can email in. Be like Mark, theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Music by Valesco and Trop Killers. You can follow me at Justin R. Young everywhere. Download archived episodes of this show at bonerwars.com. Hey, you want to talk about politics with people who are cool about talking politics? Then why don't you join our Discord, bit.ly/jury-discord. That is JURY-DISCORD. bit.ly/jury-discord. Ladies and gentlemen, some shows talk about politics. There was another I saw yesterday that talked about politics. And I've been hearing that there are many more that also talk about politics. But this one, this show right here, this is, to my knowledge, the only show that talks about all three. I will see you guys next week.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.